Alright, well, I've got all the parts here for the castle clock. This is the back plate, and I've already got the 4 corners mounted. First thing is the power source. This is the main driving wheel, and behind it that's a ratchet, so that when you wind it up it won't unwind. It's a quite simple little device, and a little pole there, and this long spring made from a piece of brass. That's the first one to go in, and this is the hour wheel, which is the next one, and that's the one with the problematic pinion on. It's held in place with 3 10BA screws, and I had to drill and tap those, and not my favourite job, tapping 10BA, especially into what was turned out to be soft brass. Right. And the two go in together. I have to connect them first, and then... Right. The next wheel in the intermediate one, I can just get that one in. And then the escapement goes in there. Now really that's a little bit loose, that bearing, and perhaps I should replace it, but I'm not going to. Not at this stage. Now, the reason I had to take it all to pieces was because I had to fit this hammer in, which rings the bell, which is unfortunate, and that goes in there. And on the other side, there's this little device. It's got this little pole, and that rests against the teeth on this hour wheel. And on the other end is the hammer, and that provides leverage. When it's lifted, the weight of it is enough to turn the wheels, and that enables you to wind the clock without losing time. Okay, well that's all that's necessary at this stage, except I now have to assemble the front part, and this is a tricky bit because you've got to get everything lined up. Right, now the bottom half is okay, so I can now put in these. Just the ones at the bottom for the moment. That'll stop it coming apart, but I now have to make sure that and eventually everything goes together. Unfortunately, I've moved the spring there, so I'll have to reset that in a minute. Right, now I can put the other two on the back, on the front. Tighten up the bottom ones now. Okay. Right. Now I have to put on the actual escapement, and that goes on from this side, and this is the crutch, the bit that connects to the pendulum, which is a tight fit. And now to screw on the little back plate, which is a bit of a fiddle. Right. Looks okay. It's about right. Now, I can't put the hands and so on at the moment because the chapter ring has to go on first. But before that, I have to arrange for the striking, and that's this little lever which goes on there, and this is the device that will trip it, so that as it comes up to the hour like that, and then it drops off, and then the hammer will smack up against the bell, hopefully. So it's a question really of getting that in the right position, so as a temporary position for the moment anyway. I've got to set the spring a bit tighter than that. Okay. That's just a bit too much. And that's not enough. That's probably about right. And now I fit the hammer at the same time. It's got to be in the right place. That would be at the top. And that's held in place with a little pin. There we are. The hammer had lifted too high. Okay. Next job is to put the chapter ring on, which fits in like so. If you've got it the right way up, that is. There we are. Now you've got to go in exactly at the same time because they all line up. I don't like putting my fingers on the silvering, so that's it. And they tighten up. The shaking hands of old age, I'm afraid. Okay, right now I can put the hands on, but it needs to go over back, and I want that to rest on something, otherwise the crutch gets bent. Right, now that's the minute wheel, and that's its partner, so that's going to be fine. And then the hour wheel just simply slips on. Oh dear, I've forgotten a piece. The whole lot is held in place with a friction spring, and that fits over a square, and then this one that's better. Then the hour hand can go on, and the teeth of the hour hand engage with that little pinion there. It does help if you have the minute hand on. Now this has got to be in the right place, because as that comes up to the minute, so the minute hand has to be on that square there. And then this goes on. Right, now that should ring. Right, that's better. Right, that's now fully assembled. And all I have to do now is put it on the stand and connect the cord with this pulley wheel, and I can get it in focus. There we are. Well, the clock's going, and I've set the pendulum at its lowest possible level in the hope that it runs slow, because I'm right at the bottom and I can only adjust it to become faster. Otherwise I've got to make a new adjustable bit at the bottom. So hopefully in the next few days, as long as it keeps going, I'll be able to get the timing right. This next section contains clips of different parts of the clock and how I made them, which I thought might be of additional interest. It's all held in place quite cleverly with this little plate, sort of a washer. There's a groove cut into the axle, as it were, the spindle. And then this slides across and locks it in place, and then a screw stops it from coming undone. And to make sure it's tight, that's slightly domed. The bell, I couldn't find one to buy, so you inevitably have to end up making one. So I got an ordinary disc of brass, and I hacked out that, and I turned up the equivalent, and I gradually bashed enough of a dent in there to get it started. And then you can see all the hammer marks in there, which are quite attractive. And it's a pity really they're not on the side that shows. It would have looked quite nice, polished up. But it's done by gradually whacking it with a ball peen hammer until it takes a shape. And I had to anneal it half a dozen times at least to get it to that shape, and then for the last time to make sure it's hard, otherwise it won't ring. And that's the bell. It's okay. It fits the clock quite well. It suits it. This highlighted spot at the top of the clock with the screwdriver slot is a simple method used for years for depthing the escapement into the escape wheel. Simply by twisting it, it raises and lowers the pivot point. Okay, so why isn't the hammer that strikes the bell on straight? Well, if I turn it on straight, I've got to straighten out this shaft as well. Otherwise it will touch the bell. And in doing so, when it moves round to the striking position, this fouls the glass case and stops the clock. And the only solution I've been able to do is to put a bend into the shaft and twist the head slightly. It does its job,